Hello and welcome everyone once again to Courageous Joy, activating the radical voice of the heart, where wisdom keepers from all over the globe are helping us remember that right now we have a golden opportunity to choose the emotions we experience, the thoughts we think, and the steps we take to vision in the world we've been dreaming of. And we do this by listening to and leading with the most powerful voice in the universe, our hearts. This is no longer mandatory or no longer optional. It's mandatory if we're ever going to create the sustainable living situation that we all desire. I'm your host, Kathy Forrest, founder of Celestial Forest Institute, and it is my delight to be here with my dear friend, Dionne Ruff-Sloan. Welcome, Dionne. So happy to have you. Dionne Ruff-Sloan is an elemental wisdom mentor and oracle reader, here to help you learn to trust your inner wisdom and kick your insecurities to the curb. She engages your creativity, your spirituality, and productivity to live your best life at any age. Dionne is amazing at deep listening, reframing limiting beliefs, and guiding you to clarity. She's deeply committed to doing her soul work so that she can serve not only herself, but others. Dionne, I love your topic today, groove into being, using movement to dance to up-level your life. I'm so excited about this. So my dear, talk to me about what is important. Why do we need to dance? What's important about dance right now?
I feel like dance is hugely important. And I want to be clear here. When I'm talking about dance, I'm not talking about using pre-prescribed steps. I'm talking about learning to listen to your body and move the way that your body wants to move in order to unlock and unleash any creative potential that you have. And so in dancing, in moving, we find more solutions and in more out of the box thinking, because we all can get stuck in a certain brain groove, right? We have the ridges in our brain and there are well-traveled paths. But in order to really activate and elevate the changes that are needed, desperately needed within ourselves, definitely, but within the wider collective, we have got to get our bodies moving so that we can access that playing in that field of plenitude, that field of possibility where we couldn't sit and think our way into a solution, but moving our body allows us to access the other levels that we might not even be aware of, that might be really, really close to us.
Wow. Wow. So this is not, it's kind of like that no longer optional kind of thing. It's like, this is necessary. So talk to me about, you named the talk Groove into Being. What is it about groove? Elaborate for us a little bit.
So I really thought about the word groove for two reasons. One, there's a lady by the name of Misty Tripoli who has the World Groove Movement, and it's a way of listening to your body and allowing your body to move in the way that it wants to, even though there are certain prescribed steps that she suggests. The essence of it is that even though these steps are prescribed, because your body and my body are different, you doing those steps and me doing those steps are not going to look the same. We're not supposed to look the same. And I believe that we've been conditioned to things have to be a certain way. We have to do a certain thing. It has to be our paths all have to be linear. And in order to break out of that, we really need to groove. We need to get into the groove. The second reason that I chose this topic is because groove just is really just a really kind of smooth movement. It's not like It's not ballet. It's not, it's not very specific to this kind of dance. Oh, I do this kind of dance and I do this kind of dance and I do this. It's really like your own way of moving and getting into that sweet spot where everything just aligns. You align with spirit and you really can get things really activated and elevated for yourself.
Wow. So then that really does specifically, how does it specifically speak to the courageous heart? Just pull that in.
So yeah, absolutely. So once you start to really listen to your body and really move in that groove, your heart activates. Obviously, moving activates all of the elements in your body. Moving vigorously enough really gets the blood pumping, that heart moving, but it also takes you deeper into your heart so that you can find that courage that you need in order to take that first step. And then, because you're already in the groove, you're already in alignment, you've got all of the elements that you need in order to step out and take that next step for yourself, and take that next step on behalf of your family, your friends, and the world around us. Wow. So it's super, super important that we learn to listen to our bodies and learn to get into our individual group. Because once you get into your individual group, Kathy, then you walk with such a purpose, you move through your life with such a purpose that you, by you existing in your own groove, you inspire other people to say, oh, I want what she has. But it doesn't diminish you. It doesn't diminish any of us. When each of us individually are in our own groove, we end up inspiring other people. And then we become what I like to call a true influencer, rather than somebody who's just being influencing you to buy a certain thing. We become true influencers, and we're saying, hey, I've learned how to move into my own groove. You can do it too. Come along with me and elevate both of us together. And then once we have more people moving into their own groove, expressing their courageous hearts through their own groove, that's when we make phenomenal changes.
Right.
That's when the change really happens.
Wow. Wow, that gets me excited. So talk to us about how this has helped you personally.
Oh my goodness. So one of the things that really has helped me with this is just in the way that I'm choosing to show up specifically right now on social media. The things that I am putting out and posting comes after I have had a personal dance party. Like, really, I
love it.
I purposely, before I sit down to do any of it, I specifically put on pieces of music to remind me of my groove, with the intention that I am getting into my groove. So that way I'm not comparing myself, or I'm not looking to see what this person is doing, what that person is doing, what the other person is doing, so that I am really in alignment with God, Goddess, all that is, pulling that information into my heart. And I'm finding that I'm having less fights with spirit, because spirit sometimes gives you information and you're like, oh, I don't want to act on that. It's too scary. It's too out there. All of the tantrums that we have against doing what our spirits are being called to do, right? Or, oh, it's always been done this way, but if I do it this way, I'm going to be weird. I'm going to be thrown out of the tribe. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to find where I fit in, right? But I have found that getting into my groove, activating that intention to be in my groove, to be able to weave what spirit wants me to do into my steps, into every aspect, really helps me to shine a light in a way that I haven't before.
Right.
Not even in the last year or so, I haven't before. But
Right.
this is really, in doing this practice and refining this practice and opening to this and opening to working with the sacred rage that I talked about the last time, really has made a huge difference in the way that I'm showing up now and the way that I intend to go forward.
Right. I can see that. I can see it in your countenance. It's like you, to me, have always shown up, but this is bigger. This is much more potent. I can way see the difference. So talk to us about the elements. How do the elements, excuse me, support you in getting into your groove?
So I've always loved working with the elements. Love, love, love. And what I have found in doing this groove movement, doing all of this, I have found that the elements have opened me to a deeper level of connection with them, so that I can really get the embodied sense of working in co-creation with them. Rather than them just giving me, little nuggets along the way and, I have to open to, I really feel like they are more present than I've seen. And it feels to me, being in this place of getting into this groove, it feels to me like the elements have become more tangible. Like accessing my connection to them has really become more tangible. Rather than having an on-off switch, I feel like I really have changed the dial, if you will. So it's not even a dimmer switch anymore. It's just turned up and up some more, like up to 11.
I love it.
I've turned it completely and totally up.
I can see that. So for those of us that, and I dance, I've been doing that for years, but this seems like a whole different level of dance. What do people need to know about? I mean, do they need a coach? Do they need somebody? It feels like I can dance, but my groove's somewhere over there. And how do I find it?
So for me, it really came from being very, very intentional with what it is that with knowing my core values, and then dancing with them so that I could embody them. And then the rest of my groove has kind of flown, has flown from them. So I am in the process of becoming a groove facilitator, so I will complete that process with Misty Tripoli in March. So I'll have groove classes, and while she doesn't have a kind of spiritual aspect to it, in my trainings with her, I've really seen how all of the work that I've done has led me to this point, to be able to weave both of those pieces, so that when I do offer these groove dance floors, March, April timeframe, when I do offer these groove it's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a lot more spiritual aspects. So if somebody wants to have that kind of experience, wants that kind of coaching, then I'll be able to offer it. But you don't need to. You don't need to. I think we feel like we have to, because of the way our Western society has set up, we feel like we have to have somebody outside of us tell us how to do it, or give us the certification to do it. You were certified when you inhabited this body.
I love it. Wow.
So so for me, my best suggestion would be, you don't have to wait for me to get my certification in the groove method.
Right.
You can put on a piece of music with the intention that you are going to dance and really come from the heart with it, of releasing all of the shame, and this is like a whole bunch of work here, because it's about the shame that we heap on our bodies. It's about the shame that we've had for not seeing everything that has been hidden from us in plain sight in this time. I mean, 2020 has been a great, we talked about 2020 having 2020 vision. We have 2020 vision now, and there is a lot of shame and guilt and everything else and denial that is still within our body, within our DNA, within ourselves. So when you get up and move, and when you intend to release all of that, you're not just doing this for you, you're doing this for the 7 generations past who had these things hidden in plain sight within them. And you're also doing it as a living ancestor. So you're doing it for the 7 generations forward.
Wow. Yeah, that is a lot of work. Wow.
Yeah. So when you put on music, when you get moving, when you dance with that intention of letting all of that go, you're gonna have some tears, you're gonna have some sweat, you're gonna have some anger. Allow all of that to come out in your dance. Like, feel, where is it in your body? Where is it housed? Because it's all in our DNA. It's all in our cells. And the more that we can consciously, more that we can bring, that awareness from the head down into the heart, that's going to uncover the armor that we have all had our courageous hearts encased in order to protect us. Well, we've been protected from it, and now it becomes our it becomes our I don't want to say a job, because that feels heavy. It becomes our pleasure, our delight. This is the way that we activate that pleasure, that delight. Yes, this is hard. This is hard work. This is big work. And it doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be painful. We've learned enough from pain. Let's get some pleasure in here. Right? So really getting moving with the idea that you're going to joyfully release this. And sometimes joy moves us to tears, and sometimes it moves that anger, and sometimes it moves that heartbreak, that grief. So just moving it with joy, choosing to release it with joy, because thank you for protecting me. Thank you for protecting my ancestors, so I could be here to do this work in this time, in this place.
Wow.
Huge.
So it really is a way that people, if they can't think of any other way to heal the planet right now, this would be the way, and it would be a fun way. And absolutely. We get enough people grooving. We can literally channel all the negativity out. So talk to us a little bit about, because you said that you can reshape and up-level your life, and obviously getting rid of the gunk. Talk to us a little more about, once the gunk has moved, what happens when you groove? How do you reshape your life?
So from this place, so you're a clean slate now, because you've done this groove and you've joyfully released all of the things that have held you back. And I feel like for me, this has never been a one and done thing, because those well-worn grooves in our brain, have kept us in this path. It's like the default setting, right? But when we fall into that default setting, we want to remember that, when the power goes out and the microwave is flashing 12, we don't get mad at the microwave because it's flashing 12, right? We just go back and reset it. Right. So we need to bring that level of compassion. The microwave and an inanimate object, everything is energy though, right? We don't bring negative energy and cuss out the microwave because it was disconnected from the power. we need to realize that we need to not bring back more negative energy to ourselves because we got disconnected from our power.
Right.
Okay. So we're a blank slate. We're flashing 12. Okay. So from there, we just reset. Come back to your values. What is it that you value? How are you in alignment with your value? Mm-hmm. Was this action that I took not in alignment with what I say I value? Mm-hmm. If I value having a healthy body and I sit and eat, my personal example, I sit and eat half a bag of Oreos. Is that really in alignment with what I say I value?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I messed up here. Let me get back into my groove. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me come back to my values. And so then it becomes like, I like to do quarterly check-ins with my values and make sure that my actions, my groove is in alignment with my values.
Wow.
So I'll look, okay, how have I been doing with my groove for the last 3 months? Mm-hmm. What does it felt like? And really coming from a place of, what would it look like if I was always in my groove?
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
What would it look like? What would my life look like if I was always in my groove? So that way you are creating signposts for yourself to look for on your road, on your path. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because our brains, I feel like our brains are wired for negative bias. So we always see everything that we're doing wrong, but we never see those incremental things that we do get right.
Right.
Or somebody comments on it saying, hey, you're moving a little differently. And then we diminish that because we see how much further we have. And we hold ourselves to the standard where we have this carrot dangling out in front of us where we're never going to reach it.
Right.
So giving ourselves those signposts of what would it look like if I were in my groove.
Right. Yeah.
Helps us to give those signposts. Mm-hmm. And then from that blank slate, we start to figure out, okay, so what does my groove look like? My husband says his groove looks like the Minister of Silly Walks from Monty Python, where he's doing all sorts of weird ramblings. And that's okay. And that's okay. So your groove might look, you getting into your groove might make you feel like you are the Minister of Silly Walks. That is okay. That is okay. Own that and move with it, because your groove might not always look like that.
Right.
It might shift and change the more comfortable you get being in your own groove.
That's so beautiful. So the name of our summit is activating the radical voice of the heart, and being courageous, and the theme is like choosing our emotions. So it really feels like this is a great doorway into when we feel ourselves dipping, we just get back in our groove, and we can do that through dance. So, and any kind of music?
Any kind of music that really lifts your heart. Right now, my personal favorite is a Korean boy band, BTS. I love them. I love the message of their music, even though I don't know Korean myself, but just I feel the energy. I feel the love that they have as seven young men wanting to make a difference in the world, wanting to express themselves. And so that is my personal favorite. But then I go back into the past and I dip into my 70s because I am a 70s baby. So I get some disco and get going. And have my Boogie Wonderland and have my One Nation Under a Groove. But then I might also pull in some of my Dixie Chicks who are now the Chicks. Right. So the type of music does not really matter. It is what really gets your booty moving, gets your heart pumping, what really feels like it uplifts and elevates. I mean, you could even get into the groove to symphonic or anything, because it's not about the type of music. It's about you finding a way to access your groove.
Got it. Wow. So you have an awesome free gift. Talk to us about that.
Yes, Dance the Body Divine is a 5-day series where I take you through connection with the elements and with a goddess that I felt aligned with that particular element to really start to develop a living relationship with them. What I have noticed is that concepts like connecting with the elements and connecting with the divine feminine energy has really been kind of like at arm's length. People have held that relationship at arm's length. And I'm the type of person that I don't want to have a relationship that's at arm's length. I want a relationship, just as you and I can have this direct communication through the magic of the internet. I want to have that kind of connection. I want to know that as soon as I move into my groove, as soon as I open up my journal, I can have a relationship with the elements, with the divine feminine, with the divine masculine, with my angels, my guides, my guardians. So I put together a 5-day program to kind of guide you through step by step, and I dance with you. So
cool. That sounds
to
fun.
be able to to be able to connect with that. And yeah, so they can just sign up on my website, and immediately that will trigger them to be able to get that.
Beautiful. So we have all those links on your page, Dionne. Thank you once again. Every time is a new adventure with you, and this is like totally out of the blue, but I love it. It's a great way to get into joy, and that's what we want. So thank you so much, sister. This was beautiful.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.